Hello class, this is Dr. Love, and this video is meant to help you execute your homework that's due on April 27th, spring 2020. And it's, I'll just kind of tell you which sections these would be similar to. These are taken right from your self-test in your book. So anyway, let's get started and go through some of these examples. So here we are with number 1 here. And so let's look, it's asking for us to notate the specified chord. It says use accidentals instead of key signatures. So that's a big thing with some of the folks in my class. You got to make sure that you follow the directions, okay? All right, so this says 5, 6, 5, and so we're in the key of C major here. So if we go up to the 5th scale degree, so that's going to be a G, right? And actually, let me do a little zooming in here. Oh, do a little zoom in here. So let me erase that, write a little bit better. So so if we write, if we go up to a G, that's going to be the root of the chord right there. And so we just stay within the key, right? And we know that this would be our 5, 7 chord. So this is kind of 5, 7, right? And so what we want to do is we want to make it this inversion is actually where the third's in the bass. Hopefully you remember the phone number. If you're ever in trouble, dial 664 7 65 4 3 4 2. Okay, and so this is the area code is for triads. Right, that's the first inversion, remember this, and then this is second inversion, okay, and then this is obviously root position, and this is for first inversion. I'm just gonna abbreviate it there. This is second inversion of a 7th chord, and then this one is third inversion, where the 7th is in the bass. We know that first inversion, which is what this one is here, means that the third of the chord, or that pitch right there, will be in the bass. So all we got to do is we got to just put it where the third of the chord is in the bass, and it looks just like that. Let's do another one. Okay, so this next one says E minor, and what you should be thinking of whenever you get to the ones that are in minor is immediately raise the leading tone. Okay, all right, so if you're in the minor on all these dominant 7th chords, you're going to have to raise the leading tone. Okay, so let's think. What's the key for E minor? You should know this by now. It has 1 sharp in it. All right, so that's going to be on F sharp. So if we run into an F sharp, we're going to need to add a sharp in front of it. Okay, all right. So we go up to the 5th scale degree in E minor, and we'll just kind of do that one over here. It's going to be a B, and then we got to create a major chord, so we need a major third. And then we're going to need a sharp on this one, so that's an F sharp, and then we need an A there, okay? And again, a 7 chord is just a major triad, and then you can either think of it as a minor 7th between the root and 7th, or you could even think of it as a minor third between the 5th and the 7th of the chord. It doesn't really matter which one. But 5, 4, 3, as we see here, right up here at the top, right there, is going to be second inversion. So that means that the 5th is going to be in the bass. Okay, we could just go ahead and put it, we'd either put it up here on the staff, or we could put it down below. And I kind of think it'd look better down below. So let's put the F sharp in first here. And then we put the 7th above it. Then we kind of put our B right there, and then the last thing we need is our raised leading tone. Okay, and I forgot to do this for the first one, but let's go ahead and kind of just write on our scratch paper and erase that, and I'll only give Dr. Love and Dr. Moore the actual answer, okay, even though I'm kind of giving you a little extra help here. Okay, All right, so keeping on. Let's do one more of these. Okay, so let's check out 5-4-2. Again, that's third inversion in this key. So what's the key for B flat major? Think in your head, key of B flat major has 2 flats in it. That's right. And so we go up to the 5th scale degree. Again, this would be like kind of on our scratch paper. We'd go up to the 5th scale degree, and we need to add a flat to this pitch because it should be flatted in the key signature, right? We're in the major mode, so we don't need to raise the leading tone. So 5-4-2 would look like this because we'd have our 7th in the bass, then we'd have our root right next to it, and we'd have A, and then C right there. So it would look something just like that, okay? All right, well, that is going to be the exact same as the very first section of your homework, and 14-2 to page 113 section A, okay? So now, so let me, if I can zoom out here, let's come back here. So if I could zoom out here, this next section here is very similar to section B on page 113 in your homework. Okay, but to do that, I need to have those excerpts in the first, and I do have, I made screenshots of the first, second, and third of these, and we'll do them all together right now. And what it wants you to do is it wants you to comment on the resolution of the leading tone and both the approach to and the resolution of the 7th in the following example. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've already filled in the chords here. So we're going to start right here on number 5, right there, as it leads in. Let's do the leading tone first. Actually, let's find the leading tone first. Okay, so leading tone in this chord. So we're in the key of A here, and so the leading tone is going to be this pitch right here, this G sharp. And we'll notice, what does it do? Well, it resolves upward, right, by step to the tonic. So you would say that, say something like leading tone resolves up by step to the tonic. Okay? All right. And then the second thing we need to do is we need to comment on what happens to the 7th, okay? So just like in your book, okay, where it sort of talks about how the 7th is approached. Let's take a look here. This is the 7th of the chord right here, okay? And it's in the bass because it's a 5-4-2, and I'll write LT for leading tone up at that other one. But that's the 7th of the chord, that D right now. So take a look at it. How is it approached? It's approached by the same pitch. So that and how's it left? It's left down by step. So that looks exactly like a suspension would, doesn't it? So what you would do is you'd say something like the 7th is approached by a suspension figure and resolves down by step to scale degree 3. Okay? All right. So that's kind of exactly what we're looking for here. It's really that's really it. If you want to kind of overkill it, you can say this goes by here. Yeah, I mean, really, that's all we need. Yeah, just, I mean, if it helps you to actually put the arrows on your homework, go ahead and do it. But that's what we're looking for. Let me do another one for you. Here's let's talk about this one right here. I've already got this sort of figured out here. So we're going to start right here for now. Okay, so let's look here. We're in key of G major, and this is a very, very typical progression where we're going to have a 5-4-3 motion here. So let's take a look. What happens? All right. So the leading tone. Let's start with that. So the leading tone is this pitch right here, right? That F sharp. Okay. It resolves which way? Well, it resolves upward by step to the tonic. Okay. So let's write that. So the leading tone resolves golly, I can't write today. Resolves up by step to the tonic, or you could put, you know, scale degree 1, something like that. And then the next thing you would need to do is you'd need to talk about what happens with the 7th. Okay, so here, so this is the leading tone right here, and so this pitch here is the 7th of the chord. Okay, so what we're going to have to talk about is we're going to have to talk about how it's approached and left. And so if it's approached by step, as we can see here, and it's resolved by a step in the same direction. So you would write something like the 7th is approached by a passing tone figure and resolves down by step to scale degree 3. Okay, yeah. So this is really all we're looking for. It's really not as sort of complicated as it could be. Be right back in 1 second. Sorry about that. Excuse me for 1 second. So so we'll just move on right to the next page here, where it's part B. Is still number 3. Again, this is very similar to what's on page 113 in your book, page 113 and 114 for that matter. Okay, so let's keep on keeping on here. So what we're looking at is what's under this, this bracket right here. So let's, so what happens to the leading tone? Okay, so where is the leading tone? Is there a leading tone? Erase this here. So, is there a leading tone? What's the answer to that question? There is, you would need to say, there is no leading tone in this chord. All right? All right. And then the next thing you would need to talk about is the 7th, and that's right here. Okay. We're in C major, so that's a 7th of the 7th chord. Okay. So the 7th is approached by an appoggiatura figure. Okay, again, if we look at it, so we leap up into the 7th and then we resolve down by step here. Okay, appoggiatura figure, and resolves down by, I'm going to continue it down here, step to scale degree or 3. There you go. So that's really all we're looking for, is some sort of explanation just like that. Okay. All right. So going back here, so we have some resolutions here. So here's section C in your self-test, and this looks quite a bit like what's on page 115. You are expected to do just the 4 part ones only. Excuse me. No, you're supposed to do the odd ones only. My mistake. So the odd ones only on page 115. But let's just do a few of these. In fact, let's just kind of let's start with this one. How about this one? Number 2. Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to like kind of recognize here is what's the position of this chord. Okay, so it's it looks like it's in root position, right? So we would write something like 5 7 here for this. Okay, so then you want to determine, is this chord actually complete or is it incomplete? Okay, so kind of complete would be what we've got here. Okay, so we have got some choices as to what we can do. We really have got to do a couple things a certain way. Okay, so first thing we've got here is we've got we got to take G sharp up to A. Okay, so that's got to go there, right? Because we're going to go to the 6th chord there, and it's in root position. All right, so we've got our leading tone in the top voice, so that one's got to go upward right there like that. Now, so where does the 7th typically go? Okay, where does it go? So the 7th always goes downward. Okay, so it's going to go to the 5th of the chord right there. And again, this is going to resolve up here, and this is going to resolve here. That's basically almost always how the leading tone in 7th work, unless there's a frustrated leading tone. Now, what pitch do we almost always double when it comes to resolving this progression? And the answer to that question is it's the 3rd. We're going to go ahead and double the 3rd here, because if we had doubled the root of the chord, we might have gotten some kind of weird jump between the leading tone and I'm going to erase some of this stuff. The leading tone and the tonic, and we don't really need that. And so really, just remember, whenever you're moving from 5, 7 to 6, it's just like whenever you move from 5 to 6. You're going to want to double the 3rd often. Okay, so let's do number 3 right here. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? So this is going to be we're in E flat major, and so this would be 5 something. So what is it? Take a look at it for a second with me here. What would it be? What would it be? Okay, yeah, so it's 5, 4, 3, because we've got the 5th in the bass, right? Okay, now we've got kind of 2 options for this one. We can either go upward, or we could go downward, right? I'm going to just choose. Yeah, why not? Well, let's just go downward. Okay, so let's go down here. And so we're going to go to the tonic, right, chord. And basically, it's fairly straightforward what we do here. So we've got a leading tone right here. And so let's just go ahead and take that to where it would normally go. And it's going to go to the E flat, okay? And let's keep this B flat here because we can. We don't really need to move it. Let me expand this. Oh, just up here. So yeah, I can get this a little closer. And so let's go. This is the 7th, and where does it go? What's the answer to that, everybody? Yeah, that's right. It goes downward here, okay? And so again, we've got 2 roots, a 3rd and a 5th on that resolution, and this is just fine, okay? All right, so let's go. Can we go to the next one here? Let's do this one. Why not? Okay, so how about this one? So what is the chord here? So we're in the key of B minor, right? And you can see that sort of easily in that fact that we've got an altered leading tone right there. Okay, don't forget those. All right, so let's think about this for a second. So it's going to be 5 something, right? So what is in the bass? It is 5, 4, 2, okay? So that means that the 7th is in the bass, and the 7th always goes downward. So let's do that first. So let's put the 7th going downward. Now look up in the top voice. What have we got? I just pointed to it a second ago. Yeah, that's the leading tone, right? So we're going to want to take that strictly to its resolution 2. So we're doing pretty well here. Okay, so this is going to be a first inversion tonic chord. With very few exceptions, 5-4-2 goes down to 1-6, okay? So we can leave this F sharp right where it is, can't we? Because it's common between the 2 chords. And then really it's up to you kind of whether you bring this up here to the D or if you take it down here to the B. All right, so my opinion is that this is a much more pleasant sound where we've got the root doubled, okay? Between the, I don't know why I wrote that, but we've got the root doubled here. We can see it here, doubled. It's gonna make the chord sound a lot more stable than if we were to have gone up to that B chord over there with the D in the tenor voice. But for right now, this is going to be more than enough for us. Okay, so we can also just do one more. Let's do one more. Okay, so because it's just so fun, right? So what is this one? Okay, what is this one? So this is 5, obviously what? It's 5, 4, 3. That's right, because the fifth is in the bass here, okay? So again, the leading tone is in the tonic. Or excuse me, the leading tone's in the tonic. That doesn't make any sense. The leading tone is in the soprano, and it's got to go to the tonic. All right, so looky here. Which way can we take this bass note? We have got two options, basically, whenever we've got a 4-3. We can either go up or we can go down, right? So let's go up, right? Why not? Because we went down with the other one. So this is going to be 1-6. So what do we do here with the seventh? Okay, now this is the one place where you can go upward with that seventh. And the reason is, okay, is if we look at this interval between the seventh and the bass, the interval actually kind of reduces down to a third, right? I know it's a tenth, but it's a third, and it's not dissonant with the bass, okay? So we can look here, and if we have the seventh is sort of dissonant here, right? And if we kind of look over here, the seventh here as well is dissonant with the bass too. And we know that the bass is sort of king in a lot of this music. So if we look here, the 4-3 can glide up. It can allow the seventh to glide up because the bass and the seventh are in parallel thirds. Sounds pretty nice, actually. So the other thing is, what do we do with this pitch right here? Okay, that's what we need to know. We've got two options. We can either go to the D flat here, which again I think doubling the root of the chord is the best sounding option, but we don't necessarily have to do that. We could stay on this A flat right here, because if we look, the distance between this A flat and the other A flat is an octave, and that is our boundary, and we don't go past it. But it's perfectly acceptable right here. So that's kind of how you do that. That's section C. That's going to be in your self-test. That's going to be very similar to page 115 in your workbook. Okay, now we're going to move on to a section in your self-test. Let me move to the next page. Oh, we already did that. Okay, so if we move on to this next section, so this next section really isn't in your this D section here, if I may, is really not in your homework, but it would be good for us to kind of do it so we recognize it. So let's kind of look at example 1410 here. All right, so what we need to do is we need to figure out where the seventh of the 5-7 chord is, and obviously this is the 5-7 chord. So what is the seventh of that chord? Take a second and look. Pause the video if you need to. Well, it is going to be in this voice, the soprano voice, okay? So on this chord, the E flat, which is here and holds over, you might have missed that, but that's okay. That is going to be our seventh chord, okay? Or seventh of the seventh chord, and let's see, how is it approached? Well, we hold that over and we bring it to right there, okay? So that means that this is going to be a suspension figure, okay? We hold it over, and then it resolves downward strictly by a step. So we would go back over here, and we would write suspension. Okay, and let's go next, 1411. So let's take a look here. Let me move this guy up here. All right, so we have got this 5-7 chord, which is darkened here, and we got to figure out which voice. Now, you know, if your tenor clef isn't so good, let me give you a hint. It's this voice right here. This is the seventh of the chord. This is an F, okay, and this is an E, and this is also an E. Okay, so how is that F approached? Well, it's approached by a step, and it's resolved by a step in the opposite direction. So it has got to be yeah, that's right, it is a neighbor figure, okay? So that one's going to be a neighbor, so we'd write that. I believe I have one more that I could do for you. Yep, it's right here. Okay, let me move this out of the way. So this is Mozart here. So let's take a look at what happens here. Okay, so you're going to want to pay attention to this textural reduction that's right here. Okay, and this is obviously the chord in question. And let's find the seventh of the chord. Well, this is the, oh, I don't know what happened there. So this is the seventh of the chord up here. This F, we're in the key of C major, right? So this is the seventh of the chord, chords in first inversion. So here's the F and here's the F. Now, somebody might think, well, kind of looks like a passing tone to right here, but then, really, I don't know. Well, the truth is since this F happens here at the beginning of the measure, and it happens at the end of the measure, then this material right here can kind of be thought of as though it sort of embellishes the two Fs, and kind of is this stuff that happens in between. But at the beginning of the measure, we kind of get this F, and at the end of the measure, we get this other F. So you can see it really clearly right here in this reduction. This G goes down to the F, and the F goes down to the E. So how is the seventh approached? Well, we can say here it's approached by a step, and it's resolved by another step in the same direction. So therefore, we would call this a passing figure that is embellished. Okay, so we'd write that over here. So this is a passing figure. Okay, so your homework is actually going to be to do the evens on page 117. And so let's just kind of work on a couple of these in this section right here, which is very much similar to your homework. Okay, let me zoom in if I can a little bit here. Yep, this will help out. Okay, well, let's take a look at these first couple here. I'll see how long it takes, and maybe we can do more. All right, so first of all is we've got to figure out a way that we can get the seventh in some voice. Okay, so it's a 6/5, so we're kind of strict on what we can do here. Okay, so let's read the directions and make sure we're good here. It says, notate, introduce, and resolve the specified chords. Each chord seventh is to be approached as a suspension, a neighbor, a passing tone, or an appoggiatura, as indicated. Include key signatures, lead sheet symbols, and Roman numerals. And again, we want to follow our directions here, okay? So the key signature for A major is got 3 sharps in it right there, doesn't it? Okay, all right, so E major. All right, so we'll do our lead sheet symbols once we've got it going. What we're going to end up getting here is an E7/G sharp. So I'm going to put that G sharp here in the bass just to kind of, for funsies, shall we? Okay, and so we're going to have to approach, again, this seventh by a suspension figure. So why not just, how about we just, I don't know, it's arbitrary what we pick, but we could pick the alto. And since it's a suspension figure, we've got to approach it by the same pitch, and then we've got to resolve it by a step downward, okay? So basically, you're going to write the approach to the seventh, and then the resolve of the seventh. So this is all of the information that's sort of given here. All right, so how could we get to, how do we get to this 5/6/5 chord safely from some other chord, okay? So what are our options? Well, we've got to have this pitch in there, don't we? Okay, so what are our options to have that pitch in there? Well, we could have 4, right? We could have, we'd have 2, is that correct? Yeah, we could have a 2/6 chord maybe. Those are kind of the ones that are big time predominants. What else is left? That's pretty much what I would say. You could also make, you could also put 4/6 in there if you wanted to. So let's just kind of see how it works. All right. So which one do you want to pick? Well, let's see. How about we pick? I kind of like this motion here. So I like La, Ti, and then Do in the bass here. So if we pick 4/6, right, which is what this is what it would look like. And so if we resolve that here, this is going to be 1, okay? So again, this is the leading tone in the bass, okay? And so that's got to go up. Really, there's not much of an exception there. It's pretty rare. And so we've got our chord symbols now. We can write A, and then we can write D/F sharp as this chord. Let me zoom in back in here. Help myself out here. Okay, all right, so keep looking here. So now what we've got to do is we've got to avoid any kind of infractions in terms of 4-part writing, but at the same time, we need to kind of figure this out. So let's just start maybe filling in stuff. What do we lack in this 4/6 chord? Well, we've got a root here, all right, and we've got the third of the chord here, so we could, well, why not just maybe put the 5th up here, okay? And what do we typically double in these kinds of chords? Well, we often double either the 5th or we're going to double the root. So, you know, I kind of like the way it sounds if we double the root of this chord. So that's what I would do. I would just double the root of the chord. All right, so that may seem like it's a kind of a big space to you, but again, that's kind of our limit in terms of the spacing. It can be no more than an octave. It's a nice openly spaced first inversion triad here, okay? So very good, very good. Okay, so let's keep going here. Yeah, how about we just kind of, so we can't go down here from the A to the G sharp. Why is that? Well, if we do that, then we've made an infraction. We've doubled our leading tone. That is not a desirable sound because both of those have a high tendency, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to not do that, okay? But what we can do is we can take this D, or this A, up to this B, okay? Now, what do we do here? So we've got, now we've got parallel motion between the bass and the soprano. And it's not a big deal because we've got thirds here, right? Oh, sorry, excuse me. We got thirds here, right? So it's all good. So that's not a problem. So we're good there, right? So now it only comes a matter of what do we do with the tenor part, okay? So it looks like we might have a little bit of an issue, to tell you the truth, because look at what happens. So if we go up to the root here, right? What happens here? We are going to get a bit of a problem, aren't we? We're going to get parallel motion of a, what is this? What does that look like, folks? That's going to be a parallel 5th, and that's a no-no. We don't want that, okay? So let's fix that. Let's not put that E there, okay? Now, what are our options here? Well, we can't really go to, we really have to have a root here, don't we? Well, it looks like we're probably going to have to rethink this choice right here, doesn't it? Okay, so let me erase that. So what happens if we go back to our choice from before where we had the opportunity to either double the root or double the 5th? Well, let's see if doubling the 5th helps it out. So we've got this A here. Now we've got the 5th doubled. Now what happens? Can we jump down to this E here if we do that? Is that legal? Sure is. That's right. So we don't make any infractions there. We leap a 4th, which is kind of our limit for an inner voice, and we're all good. Okay, so we can come and hold this one. We always try to hold them the best we can, okay? So again, our 7th is already decided for us, so let's go ahead and just take this top voice down to the root there, and that's it. Voila! We've successfully done this assignment, okay? For the number 1, we've introduced the 7th as a suspension figure in that alto voice, and we've created some pretty compelling harmony around it. So very good. How about that? Okay. All right. Cool. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Let's try to do this one. Let me see if I can do a couple more of these guys, okay? So if we want a neighboring figure, again, what our first step is probably to do is to figure out what's in the bass on a 5-4-3 chord, okay? On a 5-4-3 chord, first of all, we need to add our key signature, right? So the key signature for D minor is 1 flat. Okay, so let's figure out what our 5-4-3 chord would be. Well, if we're in the key of D minor, that's going to be a chord based on an A, isn't it? And so a fifth of an A is an A chord of some kind is an E. Now it needs to be an A major minor 7 chord, so we'll go ahead and write that because we got to write our lead sheet symbols too according to the instructions, okay? And in your book it asks for this, or excuse me, in your workbook assignment it asks for this too. All right, so we've got our 5-4-3 here, and that's the fifth of the chord in the bass. Now we should put our 7th, okay? Now remember, with the 5-4-3 chord, you're allowed to go upward with that bass along with the 7th at the same time, okay? So maybe we do the 7th in the top voice. Why not? Okay, so what's the 7th? It is going to be the G. That's going to be the 7th of our chord right here. Now, we're going to go to maybe either 1-6 here, and it's very common for this bass motion here to be simply a way to sort of pass through, and this chord is often thought, this middle chord right here, is often in this music used to do just this, to pass through the 5-4-3 chord, okay? So if we look, it becomes kind of formulaic here, so we just kind of can take our 7th up just like this in this voice. You see that? All right, so then we just got to fill in the blanks, don't we? Okay, so we've it's got to be a neighbor figure. Ooh, oh man, well maybe we can figure something else out. Okay, so can we do that? Can we go down to the A from this E? Let's see. Can we do that? Can we go A, G, A? Can we do that? Is that okay? I don't see any problem here, right? Okay. All right, so let's keep going. So we've got an F here, maybe, and then maybe a D here. Oh, let me enter that. Okay, so that's a nice closely spaced triad, okay? So, and then we go here for our E, all right? Any problems there? Take a look. I want you to be on me now, okay? So we need to remember, what did I tell you before? When it's minor, you got to raise that leading tone, just like that, okay? So let's look at what we've got here. So we can do our neighbor tone there, right? We've got our neighbor tone. So should we go down maybe with this middle voice? Can we do that? And could we go, do we have to go upward here with our leading tone? What do you think? I think it would actually sound a little bit better if we were to go maybe downward with our the fifth of our chord here, okay? So to the fifth of our next chord here. We're going to double the fifth in this chord, but this is an acceptable thing to do. Remind yourself, what is this called whenever we do this? That is called frustrating the leading tone, okay? So we've done this, and it's just fine, okay? So if we look, we haven't broken any rules. We've done everything right, and life is good, okay? Hopefully that works. There's more than one solution, and we're also going to need to write D minor there. And so D minor / F for that last one, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, this is where I would ask questions in class. I'm pausing that, see if you have any questions, okay? But no questions. All right, so let's do this one. Let's do our passing figure here. Okay, so again, let's figure it out. So first thing we want to do is we want to write our key signature. Let's do it here. Okay, and so excuse me. So let's write our seventh of the chord in the bass here. So 5-4-2. Okay, what's a dominant chord in the key of F major? If we go up to the fifth scale degree, so F is the first scale degree, G is the second, A is the third, B flat would be the fourth, and C would be the fifth. If we build a dominant seventh chord on C, it would be C, E, G, and then B flat, just like that, okay? So we're looking for a passing figure, right? So we need something like this, where we pass through the bass, okay? And again, passing just means we approach it by a step, and then we resolve it by a step in the same direction, okay? So what could we do here? What could we do here? All right, so Well, we've got some options. This is almost certainly always going to be a 1/6 chord right there, right? Okay, so what could we put before it? Well, we could put 5, couldn't we? Is that okay? I see nothing wrong with it. Okay, all right, so becomes relatively easy to harmonize this one. So all we've got to do is just pick some pitches, okay? So if we want to do this one, we could say maybe we could just choose a C. How about that? Oh, make that a little nicer. So we've got our 5th of our chord there. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing it out of order here. Our lead sheet symbol is going to be C7/B flat here, and this will be C. C regular C is going to make it easier. So, and then here, this is going to be F/A. Okay. All right. So let's take a look and keep going. All right. So to complete this first chord, we'll need 2 roots, a 3rd, and a 5th. This is a nice openly spaced triad. Now, look at the top 3 voices. You get your root, 3rd, and 5th there, and all we have to do is just keep them. Take a look at that. Doesn't get any easier than that, folks. We just keep it right there. See that? Okay, all right. So what do we do next? Well, we've got some options here. Okay, so we could keep the C. We could jump up the C up to an F right there. Is that an appropriate thing to do? Okay, let's see. Could we do this with this one? Is that okay? How about this? Is that okay? Here we'd have a doubled root of the chord up at the top, and then we would have a 5th in the tenor, and then in the A in the bass. Looks good to me, folks. We got nice contrary motion between the outer 2 voices. Got some oblique motion from the 1st chord to the 2nd chord. Okay, and then finally, let's just go ahead and do this last one. And so hopefully this helps with you guys. Okay, so let's check this one out. Okay, so again, you want to remind yourself this is E minor. So we got to write the key signature first. Let's write that key signature. I can do better than that. Let's write it more clean. There we go. Nice key signature there. E minor looks like that. It's got 1 sharp. Okay, so now we're going to need to figure out an appoggiatura approach to the 7th, and we put the 7th in, let's see, what do we put it in? We put it in the bass, we put it in the soprano, and we put it in the alto. Want to put it in the tenor? Why not? Okay, so how about an appoggiatura approach where we go to an A here, and then we got to go to G right here, okay? So let's think about this. So we've got to leap up somehow with, sorry about that. We got to leap up somehow with the tenor voice, okay? We know that our bass voice is going to be a B here, right? So we're going to write B7 for this one, okay? And so what is the chord probably going to be for the next one? What do you think? Well, probably 1, right? So we could either say 1 maybe or 6. If it's 6, we're going to have to remember to double the 3rd, right? Okay. So let's kind of figure that out in a second. Let's think about what chords could possibly come before 5. We could put 2 half diminished 6, right? Or we could put, the 6/5 version with the 7th if that helped. We could put a 4 minor. We could also put a 1 chord if we wanted to. Okay, so that's kind of it, right? Okay, so what would a 2 chord be in the key of E minor? Well, if we put a 2 chord, let's put a 2 diminished, and the reason we use a diminished 6 is because we don't use diminished chords in root position generally, and that's because the dissonance between the bass and the upper voices. So I'm going to just go ahead with that one, with this choice, because it seems like a good one, all right? And it helps us because now what we can do is, what's the root of this chord? Think about it for a second. root of this chord. What is the root of this chord? So we've got F sharp is the root. We got A, and we got C, right? Okay. So if we're gonna do a 2-6 chord, we're gonna put the A there, right? So what's great about this is this kind of helps us, because if we put that root there, then what that does is that gives us the opportunity to leap up to the 7th and then resolve back downward, doesn't it? Okay. So what do we double whenever we get to the diminished chord? That's right. We double the 3rd of the chord, don't we? Okay. So we're going to want to come downward with this pitch if we do that. Okay. All right. So, man, things are starting to look more and more crystalline as we go, and I'm just kind of filling it in because I just know that these certain things have certain pitches that are missing. So I had 3 pitches in this chord right here, and so I just decided, let me just put that D sharp where I think it should go. Okay, all right. And you could have done that. You could have done it differently. You could have started with the first chord and then kind of done it that way. Now, what pitch do we use here? If we doubled one, we already doubled that one. All right, so we don't want to. Would we put a C here? Would that be what we would do? Would that be the smart thing to do? No, it wouldn't. I wouldn't think so. Okay, so maybe we might have to actually rethink this. Okay, why wouldn't we do this? Well, we wouldn't want to do this because what's this? This is an augmented second between these two voices, right? So we can't do that. All right, so we're going to have to rethink the upper 2 voices, right? So let's think about it again. No problem, no huge deal here. So what we can do is we can't go beyond an octave between the bass, the tenor and the alto. So maybe we should go ahead and put our C in right here and then resolve it to the B right here. What do you think? Does that work? Does that work? Take a look at it for a second for me. Yeah, it sure does. It sure does work, okay? So now we're going to, again, leave this last chord up for, and we need this F sharp here. And then we're going to put diminished. And we haven't really decided, and it's always going to be over A. And it just, if we're going to put half diminished 7, then we need to make a decision right now, because right now what we've got is we've got an A on the first chord, an F sharp, and a C, okay? And if we didn't write the 7th of the chord, we'd put another A, right? And then we would want to jump down to this F sharp, wouldn't we? Right? Isn't that what we'd do? Well, we wouldn't want to do that. We still need to write that D sharp. So what's looking like is that it would make it easier for us if we did add that 7th, and we took that 7th to the 3rd of the next chord. So what we're looking at here is an F sharp diminished 7 over A. All right. Okay. Now let's look. Can we make this work out? Is it going to work out? Okay. It's going to work out. So if we go here, we're gonna have to take the leading tone to the tonic because it's in the outer voice, isn't it? Right? Okay. And then if we try to take this to 6, it's going to present some problems. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. So I think maybe our smartest move is to just go ahead and go to 1, because that's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? So let's go to 1. Okay. So we're going to take our bass up to the tonic there. So we're going to write E minor, just like that. And then that's actually quite easy, because here we've got 2 roots, a 3rd, and a 5th. Hopefully this all makes sense. So here, again, main thing is we kind of piecemeal figured this out, and there was definitely more than one way to do this, okay? But I decided that I would put my appoggiatura of the 7th, the figure, right here in the tenor part, right? And so that really was my first decision, and that's what sort of governed all of the rest of my choices throughout this. Might have been probably a little bit easier if I would have chosen somewhere else, but that's okay. I decided to do this, and we figured it out together, didn't we? Okay, so that is what page 117 is going to look like, and I just want you to do all of those, okay? And so the very last one that you've got to do is this guy right here in the this is going to be page, what would be page 118, okay? Now, I don't love that they did not edit out these rests here. That's going to make it a little bit tricky. Thanks, editors. But that's okay. Let's take a look here. Okay, so first move is to determine what key are we in. Well, looks like B flat. I don't see any accidentals in the figured bass, right? So it looks like we're good here. This first chord's a B flat major chord, so it's 1. Last chord's probably what? 1. All right, so maybe last couple chords looks like 5, 7. Okay, and then this is first inversion, so this is 2, 6, right? All right, so this is a 6, 5 chord, so this is going to be 5, 6, 5, right? And this is going to be 1 again. And look, that's 1, 6. All right, and then this is probably what? It's got to be 4, 6, and this is going to be 1, 6. Oh, sorry, it's not minor. Duh. It's going to be 1, 6, 4. And this one's going to be, what is this going to be? Look, take a look at it. 4, 2. So it's going to be 5, 4, 2. It's going to be 1, 6. So that's what you want to do first with the figured bass. You want to figure out what will my chords be. Okay. So next thing you might do is you might try to figure out a melody line. Okay. So let's take it. Let's figure it out. Okay. So how about we try going up to the 7th here in the top voice. 7th's got to come down, right? So we bring it down, all right? How about we go opposite the bass with the top voice? So could we do this? Could we write a B flat here? Okay, yeah, sure can. All right, so can we keep this B flat? We can, but let's jump up to an E flat here. Why not? Because that would probably make it a little bit more interesting. Now, if we've got the E flat, we can come down here to a 1, 6, 4 chord, which this, by the way, is going to be kind of a passing chord, as it were. That's what 1, 6, 4 chords are. All right, so so we go next to a 5, 4, 2 chord, so that's an F, A, C chord, so we could bring that one down to right there. And this is 1, 6, right? Is that right? Huh? Is that good? So maybe we jump up to F here. What do you think? I kind of like that. So maybe we go to F here, and E flat here, and then we approach the 7th, maybe, or let's actually go down here, and then go to B flat, right? So you could do this a different way, and to be honest with you, as I edit this, I might change it. But this is looking fairly okay for right now, and let's just see if it works, all right? So don't try to reinvent the wheel, by the way. If you come up with a solution that works pretty well, just kind of go with it and stick with it, okay? All right, so let's just fill in some inner voices now, all right? So how about we stick with the common pitch here, which would be F in this voice? Then can we go up to C here? Sure, there's no problems there. Then can we come back from whence we started? Sure, no problem here. All right. Okay, so if we've got this, can we leave the other voices? If we've got the same chord here, can we leave the other voices? Is that going to be a problem? Nah, not going to be a problem at all. All right, so can we make an octave between these two voices right here? Sure, why not? Remember I told you long ago, my class anyway, that if you have a first inversion triad, what I usually do is I try to first of all prioritize double the root of the chord, then maybe the 5th, and then maybe the 3rd under sort of like the last sort of circumstance. Okay, now remember, what do you double whenever you get to a 6/4 chord? You double the 5th of the chord, right? And that would be easy to do if we kind of went to that in the opposite direction from the alto, right? So we can leave this B flat just where it is right here, and that will be the root of our chord. All right, so next we need 5, 4, 2. Can we leave any pitches the same? Sure, we can leave this F the same, and then this A natural is going to go right down there. Look at that. Oh, not the most attractive way. Oh, let me see if I can write it again. There you go. All right, so next we take a look, and the 7th is going down in the bass, and so why don't we just go up and take our leading tone to where it wants to go, right? Can we leave this pitch here? Sure can. This is probably a little bit less desirable than doubling the root, okay? But it makes it easier for my writing just to leave the 5th right where it is, and it's pretty smooth, okay? So now, what are the pitches of a 2/6 chord in the key of B flat major? It would be C, E flat, and G, wouldn't it? So I can take my alto to that G because it's pretty close, right? And can I take this C here? Is that okay? Is that okay? Make sure you take a look. Ooh, there's a problem here. Take a look. Look at what happens. What is that, guys? Ooh, that's parallel fifths, so we can't do that, okay? So, man, looks like we're going to have to do what we said. What I said is my favorite way to do it, which is to double. Again, if you double the root of the chord on first inversion, it's going to come with less problems for you in general. So, can we do this now? Can we go up to C here in the tenor, and can we come down to G? And the answer is yes, we can. So that kind of fixed it, all right? Okay, next we've got our 7th here. So we got to figure out a place to put our 7th, all right? So what do we got in the chord already if we look? We've got a C, so that's a 5th. We need the leading tone and we need the 7th, okay? So we could take the leading tone up here. It's just fine. And then we can leap up to the 7th with sort of an appoggiatura figure right there. And then we can resolve downward to the 3rd of the chord. And then for this last pitch, we can either double the root, or triple it, I should say, really, or we can frustrate our inner voice and go to the 5th and get a complete triad. Okay, so this is a fine solution. Just no problem with this one. So let's go back, and then it says show with lead sheet symbols, right? So let's write our lead sheet symbols. So this is a B flat major triad, right? And this is a F7/A, right? B flat again here. And this would be B flat/D. This is E flat/G. This is B flat/D. This is F7/E flat. This is B flat/D. This is C minor/E flat. This one is F7. And then last but certainly not least, this is B flat, okay? So this makes me kind of want to play it. So let me see if I can. Almost knocked my stuff over here. Let me see. I kind of did knock my stuff over here. Bumped my piano. Okay, put this back here. Sorry about that. Okay. Right. Let me turn my keyboard on here and let me just play this, or make an attempt at it anyway, just so we can see the fruits of our labor. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. See here we go. One more time. Let's hear it again. A little faster. All right. That will do it. That will cover all of your homework. All right. So hope you're keeping safe out there. Be well, and that'll do it for this edition of Dr. Love's endless videos for the semester. Hope y'all do have fun doing the assignment, and reach out to me if you need anything. Thanks so much.